It's a bone-chilling day out here in New Jersey, the kind of cold that makes you appreciate every bit of warmth you can find. I'm sitting by the window in the Pine Barrens, watching my dog, Nugget, sniff around the frozen grass. I've lived a long time, 102 years to be exact. When you get to be my age, you've seen the world change a million times over. You've seen people come and go, empires rise and fall, and countless neighbors move in and out of those 55 and older communities. But today, I'm not here to talk about history. I'm here to give you some cold, hard truths. If you're sitting there at 50, 60, or 70, thinking you've got it all figured out because you have a spouse, a couple of kids, and a decent retirement fund, I need you to listen closely. You might think you're not alone, but you'd better think again and start preparing. Life has a funny and sometimes cruel way of changing mid-flight, and if you aren't ready to stand on your own 2 feet as an individual, you're in for a rough ride. Let's start with the biggest lie we tell ourselves, the idea that our kids will be there to take care of us when our health starts to fail. We create these beautiful fantasies in our heads where our children will nurture us just like we nurtured them. We think they'll be our nurses, our chauffeurs, and our best friends when we're 85 and can't see the stairs anymore. Look, I hope your kids are wonderful. I really do. But the reality is that they are human beings with their own messy, complicated lives. By the time you're truly old, your adult kids are often drowning in their own worries. Maybe they're going through a nasty divorce, or maybe they're struggling to help a grandchild who's dealing with a serious addiction problem. They get all wrapped up in their own situations, and suddenly they don't have the time, the energy, or the money to look after mom or dad. I've seen it happen more times than I can count in these senior communities. I've seen people in their 80s who are totally alone. Their kids aren't coming around, not because they're evil, but because their own futures have a way of falling down in mid-flight. And let me tell you something even uglier. I've seen kids who only show up when they think there's some money they can get their hands on. I've seen people get tossed into a care facility so their kids could take over the finances. I'll never forget one story about a lady whose son put her in a home, took control of her bank accounts, and next thing you know, he's out there buying himself a $500,000 motorhome while his mother is left to languish and die a few months later. It's no joke. Don't be too dependent on them. If they're there for you, count it as a blessing. It's the icing on the cake, but don't bet your life on it. Then there's the marriage trap. So many people over 50 are living in a we world, totally forgetting how to be an I. I see this all the time. The husband doesn't know how to boil an egg or run a washing machine, and the wife hasn't a clue where the money is or how the banking works. I had a dear friend, an English professor I knew for decades. She was in her 60s, married to a psychologist. She thought everything was fine. Then one morning, out of the blue, he tells her, "I don't love you anymore." He'd been having an affair with his office manager, someone he always claimed he didn't even like. He walked out, and she was left totally blindsided, divorced in her 60s, and completely unprepared for a life alone. It nearly destroyed her mental health. Or think about what happens when a spouse dies. When I was younger, I worked at Prudential Life Insurance. I was the person answering the phones when people called to file death claims. You wouldn't believe how many times I had to tell a grieving widow or widower, "I'm so sorry, but the policy lapsed." At that point, there is absolutely nothing you can do. You're out of luck. Imagine losing the love of your life, and then finding out you're also broke because you didn't pay attention to the paperwork. You have to be informed. You have to pay attention to every single aspect of your life. You need to know whose name is on the insurance, how to access the bank accounts, and exactly what bills are being paid. Don't let yourself be caught off guard. When we were kids, our parents had to have the talk with us about the birds and the bees. Well, now that we're the older ones, we need to have a different kind of talk with our partners. You need a real conversation about the hard stuff. You need full disclosure. What does the bank account really look like? What insurance policies do we have? What debts are lurking in the shadows? You don't have to act like a psycho who doesn't trust anyone, but you cannot afford to be foolish. We're adults. People get sick, relationships change, and sometimes you find out that the person you're living with isn't exactly who you thought they were. I know a couple in their 80s. The wife finally decided she'd had enough and left her husband. She probably should have left him 40 years ago, but she waited until they were both in their 80s to start over. Neither one was fully prepared. Why make a hard situation even harder by being ignorant? Here's a tip most happy couples ignore. Make sure you have some single friends. A lot of married folks only hang out with other couples. But when you find yourself alone, whether because of death or divorce, those other couples might stop calling. The people who will truly have your back are us, the ones who are already living alone. We're the ones who know how to be independent. We're tough. We've been doing this for a long time, and we've got all the tips and tricks for surviving on a single income or fixing a leaky faucet by ourselves. We aren't wrapped up in a spouse's drama or busy babysitting grandkids every weekend. We're available, and we're a resource you're going to need. The whole point of me telling you this isn't to make you paranoid or worried. It's to make you prepared. If you're over 50, make it your number one goal to be more independent. You need a plan B. If you can't maintain your current lifestyle or your current house without your partner's paycheck or your kids' help, you need a new plan. You need to figure out a living situation that you can handle all by yourself as an individual. Think of it like this. Preparation is your lifeboat. You might be on a big, beautiful cruise ship right now with your family, enjoying the music and the buffet. That's great. But ships can hit icebergs. Life changes, health fails, careers end, money disappears. If your big ship starts to sink, you don't want to be the one screaming in the dark, hoping someone rescues you. You want to have your own sturdy lifeboat ready, with the oars in your hands, so you can row yourself to safety. I'm 102. I've seen it all. And I can tell you that the ones who thrive in their later years are the ones who have an independent mindset. They don't look to other people to save them. They take care of themselves, they keep their affairs in order, and they don't get caught off guard. Everything else, the kids' visits, the spouse's company, is just icing on the cake. It's wonderful if it's there, but you have to be able to enjoy the cake even without the icing. Don't be a fool. Don't let yourself be a victim of your own fantasies. Be smart, be informed, and start acting like the independent individual you were born to be. Nugget is barking at a squirrel now, so I should probably wrap this up. It's a cold day in New Jersey, but I'm doing just fine. Why? Because I have a plan, I have my independence, and I know exactly where I stand. I want the same for you. Don't wait until you're 80 to learn how to do your own banking or how to live alone. Start today. Be the pilot of your own life and make sure you know how to land that plane even if the co-pilot leaves the cockpit. Stay healthy, stay smart, and for heaven's sake, Make sure those insurance policies haven't lapsed.